can't keep away, can you? Oh. I'm confused. I'm not used.
Put myself to sleep.
No, we're nearly ready to go. Brilliant.
Just becoming the elevator.
Let's go. Lynn, shall I kick things off? Shall we start with, I think are we pretty much all in, Emily? Are we all? Well, there's a few more people. Hold on, we're just going to wait. There's maybe a couple more people.
Carry on.
Just bear with us as we get everybody on.
More to come. Yeah.
And then we will start. Thank you for joining and being so prompt, everybody. And lovely to see you all. I love the fact that lots of happy, smiley faces. Your faces as well. So hi to everybody.
It's really nice to see everyone, actually. On these events, we always say to everyone, regardless of your state of disabile, just launch it, you know?
Yeah.
We want to see you. I'm just very nosy. I like looking at everybody's rooms. It's great. How are you doing? Drips and drabs.
Right. Are we nearly there? Should we kick off as we're five past, so we'll kick
And
it
then
off.
we'll still let people in.
Yeah, indeed. There might be a few more people coming. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Harriet. We're going to hear from Harriet at the end of the session, but thank you very much for the guitar intro.
Pleasure.
Thank you. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to you all on behalf of both WEConnect International and Funny Women, and thank you for joining this session. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Maggie Berry. I run the WEConnect International campaign here in Europe, and I'm delighted that you've joined us for tonight's special event, HERlarious, virtual reality, well-being and humour in isolation. And I think we are all getting used to being in isolation. Our host for the session is Lynne Parker from Funny Women. She's the founder of Funny Women. They are a certified WEConnect International Certified Women's Business Enterprise. And tonight's session, we're going to have we're calling them micro workshops, one led by Jo Carnegie and one led by Tracey Barr, as well as some brilliantly funny entertainment from Harriet Braine again at the end. To keep background noise to minimum, if you just keep yourselves on mute. If you've got questions, and we will welcome questions, please do use the chat functionality. There'll be time for questions after each of the short sessions. We are recording it. You can listen back to it again. And I hope that you enjoy. Before I hand over Lynne to kind of properly start everything off, I just would like to say that Funny Women, they are a not-for-profit community interest company, and they're hosting tonight's session free of charge in association with WEConnect International, which we're very grateful for. They would welcome any donations that you might like to make in exchange for this evening's entertainment. The link is funnywomen.com/donate. Please consider giving a few pounds, a few dollars, a few euros, whatever you can afford. It would certainly be very welcome. So on that, enjoy. Lynne, the floor is yours, and it's all over to you and to the Funny Women team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maggie. Delighted to be here again. Hopefully another crowd-beating international forum. We don't know where people are from, but it'd be interesting to know where you're from. So do tell us in the chat. Maggie said it. We're faced with probably the most challenging time any of us have ever lived through. But I'd like to point out that I really feel that Funny Women is on a mission to help you with your to focus your creativity, because I do think from there we can look ahead beyond this for a new future. New world order, my husband calls it, which I rather like. HERlarious, those of you who, some of you know about this, but it's where our two worlds collide, really. It's where we take what we do in the world of comedy and introduce it into the world of business. And we love it. It's good fun. So tonight is very much in that vein. We run lots of live events under the HERlarious brand, but of course at the moment not possible. It's great to work with WEConnect. Maggie and I have known each other a long time, and I'm very pleased that we can do something with these events to improve your well-being. And I think this sort of forum is a really good antidote. I mean, I'm sure we're all on loads of serious stuff all day long. This is nice. So relax, hopefully go and get, I noticed one of our speakers has got a bottle of wine at her shoulder. She's very sensible. But, you know, relax, kick back, let us see you, don't hide. This is about networking in the only way we can do it at the moment. The other thing, Maggie mentioned about donations. I'm just going to mention that we run a scheme called Funny Friends. It's 100 quid. It's a one-off payment. It's so important for us to have regular bits of money being donated in, and we use that to keep the coffers full, help pay my team who are all working for much less money than they should be at the moment, and some of our speakers and things as well. So that's another reason why we do it. So Funny Friends, look that up on the website. So tonight we're looking at working alone and what that means, whether you either actually work on your own physically, and obviously a lot of us are doing that at the moment, or if you have a role in an organization or a business structure where you are alone in either making decisions or implementing strategies without perhaps any peer group support. It's not a businessy thing, this. It's more about a mental state, and as will be obvious from our speakers. And I would like to just reiterate something from the last HERlarious, which is that, you know, we're all grappling with this ghastly lockdown fatigue, but there is some solace in the fact that from isolation comes inspiration. And I think it was Rachel Krieger at our last session who mentioned that Shakespeare wrote King Lear during the plague, particularly dark piece of drama, but you know, it is interesting what you can come up with when you're in this place. The other thing that's really important for us all to remember, that as women, we're bloody funny, and we all have an innate sense of humour, which gives us our strength and our resilience, because laughter is really good for us. So that's what this is all about. So I'm going to introduce you without further ado to a lady I have known a little while now, and she's wonderful. Her name is Jo Carnegie. She is an author, an advice columnist, a journalist and a speaker. And she specialises in well-being, workplace loneliness, and how to build more connected and creative cultures. So she's right in where we want to be. Jo runs workshops, and she writes about what it means to be a human in a tech-driven world. So I'm not going to say any more than that, because I'd rather Jo tell us a little bit more. So welcome to the stage, Jo Carnegie.
Thank you very much for that glowing intro, Lynn. I shall try to live up to that. I'm calling in from Bedfordshire in the UK tonight, and I'm very excited to see someone else is here from Bedfordshire. I never meet anyone from Bedfordshire, and I've just seen someone. So hello, my fellow Bedfordian. As Lynn said, yes, I'm a writer and journalist. I've had pretty much 15, 20 years of working by myself. So I know the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs of working alone. I think for many years we were kind of seen as the outliers, the kind of freelancers and the entrepreneurs who kind of work by themselves, women working by themselves. But I think even before lockdown started, the nature of work had changed so much. You know, more of us are working from home. If we work for a company, we have the chance for remote working, flexi working. So I think that lots more of us are already starting to move towards working alone or working from home. And then obviously lockdown happened, boom, and then we've all been forced to kind of work from home and be alone, whether we like it or not. And I think that even for the old hands like me, who are used to working by myself, it's a strange new world at the moment, I think. And no matter how long you've been working by yourself, you can still get beset by anxiety and loneliness, or a lack of confidence, or feeling like you've got no motivation or purpose. So hopefully I've got a few pointers for you tonight to help you feel happier about where you are working by yourself or working alone, and to help you, hopefully you can feel more productive, and most importantly, enjoy your work alone, enjoy your time alone, and get the most out of it. So without further ado, I've got 5 things. So the first one is, number 1, don't always default to tech, otherwise known as stop typing and start talking. And this might sound a bit weird at the moment, because most of us are kind of all in the kind of Zoom culture now, where we probably feel like we're jumping on Zoom calls or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams every 5 minutes and seeing people's faces. And obviously at the moment we could not do without this tech. It's brilliant, and it's a brilliant way of keeping us connected. But I think it's how often we use tech and how we use it. So I was just wondering, before people came on here, think back to your last business communication, and how many people sent an email or some kind of other virtual message? Yeah, me included. Yep. How many people were on a Zoom call like this? Okay. And anyone else, how many people picked up the actual old-fashioned telephone and called somebody? Wow, so we've got a few hands there, but the majority of the hands that went up were email or virtual messaging. And I think that even before lockdown started, most of us were using email as a way of kind of mainly communicating with people. And while email is really good in many ways, and it's kind of sold to us as this kind of easy and efficient way to work, it actually isn't all it's cracked up to be. It's just not as personable as seeing someone's face or hearing their voice on the other end of the line. And you just don't get to build good relationships in work if you're always emailing people. Obviously, email can be open to miscommunication, misinterpretation. So basically, we can spend days, hours, weeks, years waiting for people to get back to us. So our whole working days can end up being like looking into the kind of yawn of someone trying to get, waiting for someone to get back to you, which is just not a way to work well by yourself or to be productive. When you work alone, or you are working alone by yourself in an office environment, it's really vital to have these really strong, build up these really strong personal relationships. And we know personal relationships with existing collaborators, potential clients, your colleagues. You need to stand out and not just be a name in someone else's inbox, which is probably already completely overflowing. So I would like to say, let's stop typing to each other and start talking to each other. So going forward from tomorrow, think about 3 points in your day where you can swap a typing point with a talking point, whether that is picking up the blower or getting onto Zoom and having a chat with somebody. But just think about where you're defaulting to tech when you don't need to be. And I think, honestly, that will absolutely make you, from tomorrow, it's going to be really quick, much more a better use of your time. You get answers quickly, but you start to build personal relationships with people. And at the moment, it's a bit of a bun fight to get people's attention. And I think that just picking up the phone puts you ahead of people that would send an email instead. So I would just say, definitely swap 3 tech points or typing points for talking points. So my second one is, excuse me, so it's basically knowing it's okay to feel lonely at the moment. So I work in loneliness, which sounds really depressing, but actually it's a very uplifting subject to be in. And just to recognize at the moment that we are all probably feeling quite lonely, and it's a totally normal emotion to feel. So don't feel embarrassed about it or there's something wrong with you. And even before we went into lockdown, I talk to people now that say actually the way that they were living and running their work and personal lives, they were already feeling quite isolated and not seeing enough people. So it's just recognizing through screen time and not calling people or seeing enough people and sitting behind a screen all day. So it's about knowing that at the moment it's totally normal to feel lonely. It's a normal human emotion. And I heard it described in a really good way the other day. Loneliness is a human reaction to a difficult or bad situation. So just know if you feel lonely, it's normal. It's not you, that there's something wrong with you. It's just the setup we're in. And it's what we do with how we feel, how we're feeling. So I would say it's really important to find your tribe. Now, if you work by yourself, you pretty much are your own manager, your own colleague, your own IT support, your office cleaner. You are everything, and it can get really overwhelming. So I would say, even if you haven't got an immediate team around you, look at what you need, sit down and look at what you need and where you need help and support in your life, and then go and find those people. So it might be a mentor, or it might be someone that you need, like a kind of co-creative collaborator, or maybe you need some help with IT or maybe admin. Is there someone out there, if you can't afford to pay them, you can do a skills swap? It might be, I heard a brilliant term the other day, an accountability buddy. So someone that is in the same boat as you just check in with each other on a regular or weekly basis to make sure, A, you've got up and taken your pajamas off, B, you've had a lunch break, C, you've been out of the house in 3 days. So making sure you have someone who checks in with you and that you can check in with them, and you have this, can build this tribe. So even if you haven't got an actual physical tribe around you, where can you find these people, bring them into your life and have your work tribe? So number 3 is very simple. Change out of your PJs, pajamas, put a bra or some lipstick on. Because basically no one does their best work sat in three-day-old underwear. So it's just realizing that we need to get up, we need to get changed, we need to wash our hair every now and again, put some lipstick on. It's just the simple things, because days can slide past and we literally are sitting there in the same clothes we were 2 weeks ago and wondering why we're not feeling very motivated. So get out your PJs, have a shower, put a bra on or put some lipstick on is my third tip. Number 4, have clear work-life boundaries. Do not get isolated by your work, okay? I have this saying, don't be a 24-hour corner shop, be a gourmet deli. 24-hour corner shops are open all the time. Everyone that works there looks a bit tired and knackered. You go in there, things are out of date. No one really takes it really seriously. You don't really value it because it's always open. But with a gourmet deli, they have strict opening and closing times. What they do have is quality over quantity. They look after their staff. They take pride in it. They have a great shop front, and people value the service they're offering. So don't be a 24-hour corner shop, be a gourmet deli. Make sure you start at a certain time, you finish at a certain time, and you have a lunch break in between. And make sure you have clear work-life boundaries. You stop at 6 o'clock and that is it. Otherwise, even if you do live with people or do work with people, you can simply become isolated by always being at your screen. So yeah, don't be a 24-hour corner shop. And the fifth thing, it's Mental Health Awareness Week in the UK, and the theme is kindness. So I would like to say, celebrate your successes. It's really hard or really easy when we work by ourselves, we've got a ton of different projects coming in, or we're not really communicating or seeing members of our team, to not stop and congratulate ourselves on the stuff that we've done. So I would say celebrate your successes, no matter how small. If you finish a project, or you've had a really good day, working day, or you've done something, you've sent an email off, just sit back and savor the small moments before you move on to the next thing. Otherwise, life and work can become this continuous kind of like morphing into not really thinking about what we've achieved. And it can be quite overwhelming. So celebrate your successes. Know you're doing a brilliant job at the moment. We're living in extraordinary times and you're all doing a great job. And just to be kind to yourself and know that there's loads of great things we can do to feel better about working alone.
Thank you. For a round of applause, virtual applause. That's fantastic, Jo. I think we're all going to take the gourmet deli analogy away with us. Just going to have a look at the questions. So put your questions in here. If I think there's something stunning, we'll bring you in. Lots of people telling us where they're from, which is rather lovely. There was a really good comment here. Maggie, I think Maggie and I agree. Definitely easier to pick up the phone than to, I sometimes I have one particular person who drives me mad, who's at a venue, and any exchange, I have to sort of settle in for about 50 emails, backwards and forwards. And actually, if she picked up the phone, we'd have dealt with it in a couple of minutes. But yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Someone, Kiki, said here, you need to know the other person's normal business hours. That's an interesting one, isn't it? So actually, Jo, question for you there. Do you think that people's normal business hours have just kind of gone out the window? Because I think they have a bit. actually. Oh, you're on mute. Hold on. You're muted.
Yes, absolutely. Is that better?
Yeah.
But I think even before lockdown, normal business hours have gone out of the window, and we were sending emails at night time or Saturday mornings. So I think it really is about just try and go back to, I know that it's WeConnect's a global company, but it's like, it's knowing when you have different, different time zones to work in, but just trying to, as much as you can, stick to the traditional 8 or 9 hour, I would say 8 or even less working day, and even have on your email sign off, your signature, I work 9 to 5, wherever that may be, and you can put the time difference on so people know when to get hold of you. And also, just to lead by example, if you are leading a team remotely, don't email them in the evenings or before breakfast time. Don't get in touch with them at the weekends. Really caveat, really kind of like, protect your working day and make it clear to other people, these are the hours you're available and these aren't. And the people that kind of always email you, the ones that are always working around the clock and firing emails off their iPhone at like midnight, they'll get the message in the end. It's a bit like a kind of polite talk to the hand, because I'm not here.
There's a really good second point from Kiki, which I think will resonate with a few people on here. And I noticed that people are homeschooling, and actually even in our team, I've got two Emilys who both have children. And I'm very mindful of the fact that they may well be doing some lessons, but we've kind of got into a habit now where they will tell me, and we use a system called Slack, so you can put on it what you're doing, which is great. But that homeschooling, and I've seen a few emails from people saying, I'm homeschooling my children between the hours of, great, But have you got anything else to say about that?
I just think, well, that's absolutely it, Lynn. I think basically just say we're living in extraordinary times. It's completely new, and we shouldn't just pretend we have to muddle on, especially if you're homeschooling, thinking that it's like a normal working day. This isn't normal. So just be honest about when you can physically be at your desk and when you're at work, and no one's going to judge you for it. Or, there's loads of parents out there homeschooling, and it's clearer and more effective for you and for other people that you're working with to know when you're available, when that might be.
Claire Martinson has said that she started a low, I don't know where Claire is. Can we wave at us, Claire? Wherever you are, she might be hiding. I've started a low-tech challenge, writing a handwritten letter, how lovely, to a friend every day. I've set myself a 12-day challenge and I am 4 days down. It's lovely to start the day writing a letter to someone in my wider friendship group. That's amazing. And also, I don't know about the rest of you, but I've started to, I'm making sure that I don't write letters, but I use WhatsApp for certain groups of friends. So what would you say about that, Jo?
But you know what? This theme keeps coming up of people starting to take the time to write letters to each other. And I think it is such a lovely thing to do. Like you say, it's a really grounding, tethering process, especially when we are eyes on screen 24/7, it feels like, and we're so visually overstimulated, but all we're doing is using our eyes really, and occasionally our ears. And to actually take the time out to write to people. And when you write to people, you tell them things that you probably wouldn't tell them in a kind of quick WhatsApp exchange. You can actually deepen your friendships and relationships by taking the time, even though they're not going to get it immediately and have an immediate response. But it's a really nice, slow, different way of reconnecting with people, deepening existing relationships. And also say from a work perspective as well, you could start, how can you deepen and nourish your relationships with your clients and your colleagues? You could start to send them handwritten cards or postcards without, it being a bit kind of like over familiar or creepy. It's not like but it's about, what can we do to give the personal touch in these extraordinary times. And I think that handwriting, and you're taking time out to write someone a note or a postcard, is a really lovely thing to do.
I had an exchange with a very dear friend today whose husband is poorly, and I got really stressed because I ran out of time to phone her, and I said, I can't do it today. We had a lot going on today. And she said, don't worry, this is meant to be, this is meant to be a stress relief. Talk to me tomorrow. But, it's lovely to have those exchanges with people. Maggie Semple's put a wonderful thing in, but I almost want to leave it till the end, but I'm just going to raise it and perhaps we'll come back to it later on. She said, when we're talking about the near future, do you think us being nosy about other people's homes will continue, or will we get bored? Notice, Maggie, I'm hiding my home tonight behind the banner, but I think, should we leave that one? It's such a great question. I think I'd like to come back to that when we're all together at the end. Anything else? Very difficult to set up my own schedule. This is Shamara Murray. Yeah, I actually, she's saying it's very difficult to set up my own schedule this month. I'm not sure if it's the nice weather. Any organisation or accountability tips? I would agree with the weather, actually. It's thrown me out completely.
I would say, yeah, I would say quickly, we've been in lockdown like caged animals for 7 weeks, so do not feel bad about going out into the sunshine and enjoying it. And if you haven't got any pressing deadlines, honestly, just go out and enjoy yourself and do the work you need to do and get out, and don't give yourself a hard time about it. Otherwise, I would say, you know, just having your week, non-negotiable things you need to do, but otherwise, if things are fluid, go out and enjoy yourself, or get yourself an accountability partner or buddy who will crack the whip when it needs to be cracked, and get you to do stuff. But I would say at the moment, if you're doing, just do what you need to do, and the rest of the stuff can take care of itself, and just get out and enjoy the sun is what I say.
I think that's a very good point to end. There's lots more questions. So Jo, while we've got Tracey talking, maybe have a quick look through, and then when we come back in at the end, we can answer them. I just want to know who the Natalie is that's making vegetables. I try to make a vegetable character every day and put them in my front window. How wonderful. Al pepperoncino today. I think we need to see Al pepperoncino. I want to see it, please, Natalie. Oh, look at that. Can we all see that? It's brilliant.
That is.
Yeah, I think come back to you at the end, Natalie. Perhaps we'll get you to show us a bit of vegetable making. I think we all need a bit of vegetable making. That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to move swiftly on to introduce the wonderful Tracey. So Tracey is going to tell us all how to get our mojo pumping. Mine's in very short supply at the moment. Tracey, apart from being the chair of our Funny Women Advisory Board, and that is a wonderful thing, she is, more importantly, she's a leading independent strategy consultant with over 30 years of experience. She provides expert advice on project leadership, management and support to a diverse range of strategic and business development projects, with a particular focus, very relevant at the moment, I know she's very busy, within the healthcare sector. Prior to working freelance independently, she held roles as a managing director of a privately owned corporate comms company. She was a general manager with Bupa, the NHS and Quaker Oats, and she was a strategy consultant with the LEC Partnership and Arthur Andersen. I don't think I need to say any more. I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful Tracey Barr.
Hi everybody, really great to see so many people here. Thank you very much, Lynn, for the kind introduction. So as Lynn sort of said, my day job is has been for sort of over 30 years now, which is quite frightening to hear, doing strategy consulting and providing advice and support to companies, which I absolutely love. But one of the sort of benefits of doing that is that actually you build up a strategy toolkit that you can actually draw upon to help you guide your own personal strategy. So tonight I'm just going to share a sort of part of a strategic framework that I've used quite a few times over the past 30 years to help me when I've been facing sort of unexpected times like we're in currently, but also with other times throughout my life. So in true consulting style, I have actually got a presentation, so I'm going to share my screen, and the presentation that I've got's got a couple of working pages in it that you can work on after this presentation, and it's going to go out with the email that follows the session. So don't feel that you need to make notes, because you'll get all of this. So I'll just share my screen now. Oh. Okay, so getting your mojo pumping, part of what we want to do at the moment is just to really think about what do we want from the next phase of our life. So this is a really great opportunity just to take stock of where we are. And I think in lots of the conversations we've been having, people have been saying, actually, you know, sort of, I don't think what will be the new normal, and I don't think my new normal will be the same as the one that I came into the lockdown with. So I particularly like the quote, one of the quotes on here, which is around, the next chapter of your life has not yet been written. You hold the pen, write the story you want to read. So how do we go about and write that story? So, why can't I get on here? Hang on a minute, I'm not, there we go. So I've got a sort of two-step approach to how I do my strategy work. And the first stage is really to review and reflect on where you are now. So this is very much about looking back on life up until now and really reflecting on what the times that you've been at your happiest and what's brought you the joy in your life, and also the times when you've not been happy and what is it that's made you unhappy. Is it what you're doing? Is it who you're with? Is it where you are? And particularly at this point in time with COVID, actually having that opportunity to think, well, how have I responded to the current crisis? And what have I done differently, and have I enjoyed it, and would I like to continue to do that? So what I'd like to introduce you to is a sort of tool that all of you can do with just a piece of paper. It's a very simple piece of paper and a pen, and it's a life map. And basically the vertical axis is just around your own assessment of your scale of happiness. So at the sort of top of that, being very happy, at the bottom being unhappy. And the horizontal axis is really just about our age. So from when we very first appeared to where we are now. And don't overthink this, but just really try and do a sort of sketch out of how relatively how happy you've been at different stages of your life. And then when you've done that, maybe go back and just highlight on here what were key catalysts as to why you might have been feeling that. So for example, for me, there have been a number of sort of key catalysts in my life that have sort of led to the peaks. So the first one was very much around going off to university. I loved being a student. I fell in love for the first time there. I then came out of that and started in an exciting new job, and I was managing to work and play hard. Really, really fun time. But then also there's been a number of sort of times when I've been at the troughs of that, and the kind of things that have triggered those have been things like breakdown of a relationship, not enjoying a job that I'm in, losing a parent. All of those things can be down at a trough, and some people at the moment are in one of those, as we're in lockdown at the moment. What I'd say is that this is actually quite a similar tool that I think quite a lot of comedians use to find their stories, because often the stories that comedians use actually come from reflecting on and drawing on these sort of experiences that we've all had. So this will look very different for each of you. So it's a really fun thing to do and just to reflect on. But then how to use that? So this is sort of a little exercise that you can do, you know, just take an hour or so out of your day tomorrow and just sit and reflect on that life map. And really what you want to try and do is to think about the peaks and the troughs of those. So the times when you've been at your happiest and the times when you've been least happy. And think about what is it that you were doing? So were you, what were the characteristics of that? So for example, for me, I realised when I look back at my life map, and I've done this about 3 or 4 times over my life, and I'm doing it again now. What I realised was that actually I really like sort of project-based work. I'm happiest when I'm working on projects, and I'm happiest when I'm working with people that I find positive and like-minded. And actually, I am happiest when I'm working in central London. What I've realised is that I actually should never do a permanent sort of full-time job that's got a sort of lot of repeat things in there. And I also realised that I didn't like working for a large corporate organisation because I didn't really fit in the corporate mould. So as a result of when I reflected on those things, I actually decided in my early 40s to just set up my own business and work as an independent. And that has been one of the best decisions I've made. But I made that looking back on sort of having worked for sort of almost 20 years. The other piece then is that sort of maybe to think about during the lockdown, and I think, I don't know whether or not many of you have seen this, but actually, or heard this when you've been talking to friends, but a lot of people have actually said, oh, I feel a little bit guilty. I'm actually quite enjoying the lockdown. So why is that? What is it that you're doing differently? What are you enjoying? So a lot of people have said to me, actually, I'm really enjoying quality time with my family, not trying to squeeze too much in, not commuting, really enjoying not commuting. Actually, also important to think about the things, what haven't you missed? Now, some people have said to me, actually, I'm really surprised that I've just not missed going out, socializing as much as I used to. Or there may be certain people in your life that you thought were really important to you, but actually you've not really missed them, but you have missed others that you hadn't appreciated who were important to you. And there are things that have happened that are really positive, that you might want to carry on doing. So in the workplace, for example, I mean, I do loads with health and care. So all of you will have be very aware of what's happening there. But one of the most positive changes that's happened during this demanding time is how quickly they've been able to roll out the digital infrastructure that's enabled them to do virtual consultations, things that would have taken years for organisations to do, they've been able to do in a matter of weeks. And that is something that needs to be embedded and carry on doing. And then also post-lockdown, maybe just think about what would be the first thing you really want to do? What is it that you've missed? What's most important on your list? And what are the things that you've missed that you want to do, make sure you do more of? It might be more traveling, it might be doing more, getting a better balance of doing some of the things that you love doing as a hobby. What do you want to do less of? So really take time out and think about what have you learned about yourself from looking at that. So in the presentation, there's a worksheet for you to have yourself. Then having done that, that's the time to sort of think, right, okay, this is the exciting bit now. So what do I really want to get for the next chapter of my life? So there's 4 boxes here. And the first box is very much around defining your goals. So it's really important to have a goal, something to work towards. You only need 1. I certainly wouldn't recommend having more than sort of 3. But when you write this down, first of all, the mere thing of writing it down starts to make things happen. But when you do think about it, make sure that it's there's an acronym which is SMART, and what the specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. And I'll just sort of talk about something that might, just to bring that to life. So for example, I'm single. The lockdowns made me think, oh, do I really want a relationship? Actually, am I going to put that down as a big, hairy, audacious goal? I don't actually know the answer to that yet, but say if I do. So I could say I want to be in a relationship, but that's not very specific. So I want to be in a relationship with a professional man between 50 and 60. That's much more specific. Measurable, it may be that I want to be, so I put the measures in terms of the age band. Actionable is something that you can actually do. It's in your control. You can go off and do something about it. Is it realistic? Well, I'd like to think it might be. I'd like to think I'm not quite on the shelf yet, but you know, you never know until you get out there. But if I'd maybe said, or you know, sort of, I'd like to be in a relationship with Pierce Brosnan, that maybe wouldn't be the case. Or James Martin is actually my guilty pleasure, as he's many's. So that's probably not realistic. And then you also want to put a time on it. So I would like to be in a relationship by the end of 2021. So that's what really how that works. And you can do that for your relationships. You can do it for home. You can do it for work. You can do it from a financial perspective. You can do it about a hobby, and about traveling, although traveling is obviously a little uncertain for us all at the moment. But what do you actually want? Define your goal. And then try to, how will you know when you've got there? What will success look and feel like for you? So this will be really personal. So it'll really try and think about where you are today and how you want to feel and what would be different. So in the situation I've just said, you know, sort of, actually, I would really quite like to I really am missing a human touch. So actually what will be very different from today is that I will have some human touch in my life, for example, and there will be one person for that. So, but actually it may be, from a work perspective, it's actually excited to get out of bed every morning and really loving what you do. And then the third box is really around thinking about the steps, as what do you need to do to get there. So key action. So I'll stick with my dating. So actually I need to get myself ready to go on dates. So I've been a bit scarred. I need to do some coaching. Actually I need to get myself sort of feeling confident, body confident, and so I might need a makeover. And what's a realistic timescale? So before pre-dating, then I need to get myself out there and go on a few dates, and then I need to hopefully try and meet somebody that will become the one. But then who do you need to help you? So as Jo mentioned before, you know, this might be the accountability buddy. It might be actually somebody to do the coaching with you, to help you build your self-confidence up again. What resources do you need? You may actually need to invest. I'd like to think I might invest in some new underwear, for example. But you know, what resources do you need to actually go forward? So if you're thinking about a new business, for example, what do you actually need to get yourself up and running? And then do you need to learn any new skills? So this is a great time for just trying to brush yourself up on some of the skill sets that you might need for whatever you want to do going forward. And then final thing.
Oh, you've got one more point, yeah? Okay.
One more point. So what's the one thing that you are going to go and do, ideally after this, that will make your life happier and richer? So action is really important. So just make yourself do one thing that you feel will make you happier and richer.
That was amazing. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Really amazing. I think it's so nice to have everyone stay muted. It's so nice to actually not talk specifically about work. And while you were chatting, I'd asked the question what people wanted to do post-lockdown, and it was so lovely. Seaside fish and chips, lots of cuddles. Someone wants to meet up with lots of seasides. Maggie wants to go back to the gym. She's a glutton for punishment. Have a big party, have a good coffee, go camping. What was the other one? Have a cocktail. Someone's got very expensive taste. Cocktail at the Ivy Club. I don't know who that is. Meredith, I'll be with you. Bellyache. Yeah, well, this is right up our street. Belly aching, laughing with best girls. Where is this person? Lynne Kopp. Come to a few funny women events. Hey, lovely. And come along to, oh, I like you, Charlotte. Come along to a funny women function that's not on Zoom. I'm with you. Yes. Great. So a couple of points that came out really, so I'm going to perhaps bring Jo back in as well, because we've got about 5 minutes for Q&A. Put your questions in the box. A few things came out of that I think are worth just, so Jo, when you were talking, lots of people were saying about writing diaries, having a decent pen, journaling, really important. I have got out of the habit of journaling, but having a lovely notebook and a beautiful pen, who wouldn't want to do that? You know, the power of handwriting is really important. A question which I think I'll throw to both of you, but does lockdown enhance the highs and lows? Because personally, I think it does. So, and enjoying, can we really, I mean, I think you've both answered the sort of enjoying the lockdown and not feeling guilty, that whole thing. Harriet Braine, who is coming on later, we were both actually rather sort of smugly saying we weren't that upset not to go to Edinburgh this year because it's such a huge commitment. It's a big chunk out of your life. It's very expensive. And I'm already thinking, what can I do in August and go on holiday? So, so can I just maybe get you to talk, perhaps Tracey, tell me a bit about the highs and lows to start with, and Jo can add in. You've been muted, Tracey. There you go.
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. I think it does heighten things. So when when everything's taken away, and also you've got time to reflect. I mean, and lots of people go on retreats for this. So we have sort of got I'm treating it like a little mini retreat. But when you have that clarity, your head's all clear, and you're able to look at things, you realise and appreciate the things that you really love and miss more. And I think also, though, you do reflect maybe on the things that you are struggling with more. So, and it's, I think it is quite difficult when you are, so I'm by myself, the things that might be worrying you, you don't necessarily have somebody to have that conversation with. So as Jo mentioned, having a tribe, that 3 a.m. friend to call in the morning becomes incredibly important, because when I think you can overthink things sometimes, and what is something that isn't necessarily, you can't necessarily see how you're going to get over that. Actually, by talking to other people, you get that stimulus, and you come away feeling energized, and you've got options as to how you can get over that. So you can't always see your way out of it, but other people can help you through that. So I think the highs and the lows are heightened, but there are the things that you're saying about having a tribe and finding other ways, not just on technology, but talking to people will help you address those.
And Tracey and I, indeed, we talk quite a lot, actually. I mean, she's definitely part of my tribe. Jo, have you got anything to say to that?
I think it's really interesting, because I think it can shine a spotlight on perhaps where we were feeling disconnected or lonely in our lives anyway, and how we worked and lived. But also, I've heard from a few people saying that I feel guilty for enjoying my alone time, and this kind of feeling when we first went to lockdown, it was like, quick, jump on a house party call, quick, jump on a Zoom call, and how we're all scrambling to kind of connect with people that we weren't before. And to just recognise what kind of level of social contact you need. So I think going into this, a lot of us were probably really overstimulated, felt like we were always on, having to always be accountable, part of multiple WhatsApp groups, even with our friends, always on. And going into this now, it's kind of, we've had this kind of manic, kind of like everyone networking and talking at the beginning. And now it's kind of, everyone went a bit anti-Zoom and anti-video calls and anti-everything. And now I think people are finding their natural kind of keel of how much socialising they need, how much stimulation they need in their lives. So some people once a day might be fine checking in, or even once a week, or other people 10 times a day. It's about that level of social contact you need, that it, and don't feel guilty about not having to be on and be kind of, socializing the whole time. And the other thing that I'd like to say, and to enjoy your alone time, because we didn't really have any alone time before this. We were always thinking, WhatsApping, online, doing stuff. To actually claw back your alone time now and really enjoy it, because so many great things can come out of our alone time. So to embrace the alone time, is all the people saying they're cooking now, they're making stuff, they're kind of in their working day, they're doing other things. And actually, I think I love this kind of idea of going forward, that we are, instead of, we're fitting our work into our daily lives rather than our daily lives being all about work. And I love that idea. Why can't you have a work day where you make a cake, where you play with the kids, where you go for a walk?
Yeah.
I love all that. So why not mix it up? And actually, like I say, it's not just about your day, isn't about fitting your life into your work day. It's actually a bit more vice versa. Fit your work into your living.
There's a couple of other comments I really like here. So Nicola Horton has said that she, I know Nicola from the comedy world, but she misses things due to childcare, so this online life does have its upside, which I think is true. And then the flip of that, Susan Davis said, I love this. I booked a walk and talk with a friend, hopefully socially distanced, with a friend on Saturday. Oh, they're in different countries, but we'll chat on the phone while they're walking. That's fabulous.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's a really good idea. I love, and then Natalie Guerin has said something about, friends wanted regular Sunday Zooms, but I said no. I know what you mean about those. They can get a bit trying. But yeah, I don't want a 1 day a week with an empty diary. Hang on, I'll just read this properly. So 1 day a week, I don't schedule anything and just go with the flow. I think that's really important. We've got a long weekend coming up, guys. So get the old pens out, diaries, phone a friend. What else can we do?
Have some alone time.
Bake a cake.
Bake a cake.
Yeah, be on your own. Do a bit of gardening. I did a bit of gardening, nearly killed myself over the weekend, but it was actually very therapeutic. So yeah, I think all of that is definitely a recipe for the long weekend. It's is it Whitsun? I can never remember when Whitsun is, but I think it's the Whitsun bank holiday. So I'm going to now thank you. Another round of applause for our two fantastic speakers. I will try and bring some roundup to questions at the end, but I really would like, if Harriet's Braine is at the ready, Harriet's Braine. Harriet Braine, are you at the ready? Harriet
is Braine.
Harriet's probably bored with me introducing her like this. But, hey, you know, she won the Funny Women Awards in 2016. And we are actually running them again this year, even though they're all online, and it's been quite an interesting experience. So go online, look at the website. We've got 2 more weeks for you to enter the Short Comedy Writing Award and the Short Film Award. So if you're feeling creative. So I'm going to hand you over to Harriet, who's going to entertain us with a couple of ditties.
Yes, indeed.
So, welcome to the stage, Harriet Braine.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you for having me, everybody. Yeah, this is really lovely. I hope you're all okay with a little bit of swearing, because that's what I've got. I've decided to sing a song that I wrote this year, one of a few. Let's just say isolation hasn't been the most inspiring time for me, but I actually wrote this just before everything went crazy. I wrote it for Valentine's Day, and I have nothing interesting to say about my personal love life, because I've been with the same guy, I know, believe it or not, for 10 years. I know, since I was 12. But no, that's just a really bad joke. But I wrote a song instead about another relationship, because let's just say we've all been overthinking things, right? And I watched the film Mary Poppins, and I overthought, and I thought, what happened to Winifred and George's marriage in the wake of Poppins? Like, it can't have been good. So I've written a song from Winifred to George Banks about certain things that are getting up driving her up the wall since Mary left, okay? And George has changed a little bit. You and me once went to Nelson's column. Since that day you've been there often. I really feel that was maybe a red flag. Why was it only 2pence a bag? It's too cheap. It looks a tad like you're going mad. And no offense, but you smell really bad. Don't feed the birds, you stupid idiot. They're now all in our kitchen. Don't feed the fucking birds. Don't feed the birds, they've taken over. They're nesting in our sofa. Don't feed the fucking birds. Oh, memories. This place used to be inviting. Now it's altogether mighty frightening. We could die, both you and I, of avian flu or E. coli. Don't feed the birds, you fucking moron. Pigeons, seagulls or swans, don't feed the fucking birds. No, no, George dear, what were you fucking thinking? I can't believe I live here. Don't breed, don't breed, don't breed. Oh, there's guano in my muff, George. Remember my muff? It's a really nice muff. And my sash. It's all over my sash, George. It's in our children's hair, George. There's guano in my muff. Don't feed the fucking birds. It's sad, isn't it?
We are slightly running late and a few people are dropping off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say goodbye and let you play us out, which I think is the sensible
All right
thing.
then. Is that okay with everyone?
That's all right with Maggie and everyone.
Yeah. A very short song.
Yeah, very short.
Oh, good. Unmuted.
I'm
Excellent.
unmuted. Thank you all for attending. Just notes and queries. Do check the Funny Women website. I don't know if perhaps Emily will put the slide up on the way out, but there is more comedy capers next Thursday on the 28th. It's our comedy workout night. Details on the website. There'll be more information about longer, more intense. Certainly Tracey and Jo are going to do some sessions for us, longer sessions over the summer. And for a bit of weekend entertainment, you can check out the Funny Women podcast. And our special guest this week is Jason Manford. So we got to chat to him. It's a very good one, actually. Lots of things on mental health and working and being refused by Tesco's, which is very funny. So as Maggie said, if you've enjoyed tonight, any donation, however small, would be fantastic. And I will hand back. And Maggie, do you want to say anything? No?
No, just a big thank you to everybody for participating, to Jo, Tracey, and to Harriet, and to you, Lynne, as well, and to the whole Funny Women team for hosting this with us. Great, and thank you everybody for all your comments and your insight, and yeah, I'm just very happy that you were all able to participate. So thank you, and yeah, thank you everybody. And we'll definitely send some. Jay will send a follow-up email with different. I scribbled a few things and different links. So thank you that we'll share.
And for those of you who are happy to hang around, Harriet will play us out.
Okay, this is a song about the first woman in space. Now, I've recently learned that she's like best pals with Putin, so you've got to be nice to her. So I've written her a little ditty. I'm sure she'd love it if she heard it. Anyway, this is how it goes. I'm a famous cosmonaut, even though I am a gal. My name is Valentina Vladimirovna Tereshkova, but you can call me Val. And that's it, because the rest was censored. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Goodbye.
Yay! Bye, everyone.
Put the slide up. There we go.
Oh, very good, very good, very good.
Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks very much.
Please donate. Bye.
Have some dinner. Bye.
Emily, and we'll just hang around a bit just for a quick debrief.
Shall I hang around? Or
Well, you don't need to, Harriet.
Okay.
No.
I'm quite peckish.
Thank you, Harriet. It was brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was great. Such good presentations, and yeah.
That was really.